The world has come dangerously close to total destruction at least 5 times. And each time, a single human decision saved billions of lives. This is not fiction. These are real, classified moments buried deep inside government files for decades. Moments where one button, one command, could have ended everything. And the terrifying question is, are we truly safe today? Or are we still living under the shadow of the same threat?
1962.
The Cold War was at its peak, and the world stood on the edge of nuclear war. Deep beneath the ocean, a Soviet submarine was hiding, armed with a nuclear torpedo. Above them, American naval forces were dropping small charges, not to attack, but to signal the submarine to surface. But inside the submarine, it felt like war had already begun. The orders were clear. If war starts, launch the nuclear weapon. 3 officers had to agree. 2 of them said yes, immediately. But one man stayed silent. Vasily Arkhipov. He said no. Just one word. And the world was saved. If he had agreed, large parts of the Earth today might have been nothing but ash and silence. 1983, another moment, another decision. Inside a secret Soviet bunker, an early warning system suddenly screamed, "The United States has launched nuclear missiles." On the screen, 5 missiles were heading straight toward the Soviet Union. Protocol demanded immediate reporting, followed by a nuclear retaliation. There were only minutes to decide. But the man on duty, Stanislav Petrov, hesitated. He thought, if the US were truly attacking, why only 5 missiles? Trusting his judgment, he declared it a false alarm and did not report it. Later, it was confirmed. The system had failed. Sunlight reflecting off clouds had tricked the satellites. One man's reasoning, and the world survived.
1995.
The Cold War was over, but the danger wasn't. Russian radar detected a missile heading toward its territory. Everything about it looked like a nuclear strike. The nuclear briefcase was opened in front of the Russian president. Seconds remained. One decision, and the world could have been pushed into chaos. Then, at the last moment, the truth emerged. It wasn't a nuclear weapon. It was a scientific rocket launched by Norway to study the Northern Lights. A misunderstanding that could have ended civilization.
1961.
High above the United States, a military aircraft broke apart mid-air. On board were 2 powerful nuclear bombs, which fell toward the ground. One of them deployed its parachute and hung in the air. When engineers examined it, they were shocked. Out of 4 safety mechanisms, 3 had already failed. Only a single low-voltage switch stood between safety and a massive nuclear explosion. If that last switch had failed, millions of lives could have been lost in an instant. And then, 1983 again. A NATO military exercise known as Able Archer. It was just a drill, a simulation of nuclear war. But the Soviet Union didn't see it that way. They believed it was a real attack in preparation. Soviet aircraft were loaded with nuclear weapons. Pilots were ready, waiting for a single command. The world stood on the edge once again. At the last moment, intelligence sources confirmed the truth. It was only an exercise. The weapons were stood down. A simple misinterpretation nearly triggered global catastrophe. The reality is, nuclear weapons are not controlled the way movies portray them. The so-called nuclear briefcase carried by the US president doesn't contain a simple red button. It holds communication systems, authentication codes, and strategic plans. But despite all these systems, history has shown something chilling. Sometimes the fate of the entire world depends on a single human decision. And here's the most terrifying part. This danger has not disappeared. These weapons still exist. These systems are still active. And moments like these can happen again. The next time the world stands on the edge, will there be another Arkhipov? Another Petrov? Or will there be no one left to say no? If you want to uncover more hidden and shocking truths like this, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and tell us in the comments, which of these moments do you find the most terrifying? Because in the next video, we're revealing another truth. One that might keep you awake at night.